Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Let's continue with the chapter Pollution of Air and Water. This is the second theory session of this chapter, and in the earlier session I explained you about the air pollution. So in today's session I'm going to explain you about the water pollution. In general, the sources of fresh water is like surface water, right? Then the underground water and the rainfall. So altogether these things or the level of water in these sources, it should be maintained, and it is disturbed because of the different natural processes or the manual activities. So of course we should take care of our own activities so as to control the purity of the water. And when the purity is disturbed, it leads to the water pollution. So now let's see that what is this water pollution. It is defined as any change in the physical, biological or the chemical properties of the water, right? Or even we can define it as the addition of some unwanted or the undesirable particles or the removal of the important components from the water. Now how it is done? Either by the manual activity or by the natural processes. So we have to know about the causes of the water pollution, because once these causes are known, the preventions can be taken. So let's see what are the causes of the water pollution. So the components that lead to the water pollution, they are known as the water pollutants, and these pollutants, they arise from the different sources, which can be sewage, it can be industries, agriculture or the petroleum oil and all, right? So sewage, it is basically comprised of the organic waste in which the microbial growth is there, or they are having the microbes also, right? So you can see that in the sewage water, from where the waste organic matter is coming, it is added into the water from the domestic setup or from the dairy farms, poultry farms, piggeries, slaughterhouses and so on. See the waste like in the form of fecal material or the excreta, right? They are basically present in this water, and this water is initially treated. Right, there are government facilities, there is a municipal corporation is there, which is actually involved in the treatment of the sewage water so that it is not causing any harmful effect, right? But in case if this sewage water, right, which is having the excreta discharge and all that, if it mixes with the fresh water, what will happen? It will lead to the contamination. The water will go into the fresh water sources also, and in that case it will lead to the water pollution, right? Even besides the sewage, such fecal material, it can be added into the water through different sources also, like animal excreta which is discharged in the fields or which is dumped into the pits. It may reach to the water resource due to, let us say, because of runoff or the leaching processes, and such type of addition of this waste material into the water is the major cause behind the water pollution. Then as I said, the next is the industries. The next source is industries. So how these industries are contributing to this water pollution? See, these industries normally what they do, they discharge the waste from the which is generated into the from the industries, I'm sorry. So this waste which is generated here, it is containing the acids, alkalis, heavy metals, different types of toxins and so on. And all these effluents, they are added to the water resources. It even also contains some organic matter. So ultimately what happens? The normal composition of the water is going to change, right? And as the organic matter is added in the water body, it can even initiate or it can increase the rate of these microorganisms growing over there. And as this happens, definitely the water pollution is going to take place. Not only this addition of these undesirable material is added by the industries, but even the discharge of hot water leads to the change this water pollution. There are many industries in which the cooling system is required. So what they do, they are using this water from these resources or from different ways, and they are just circulating it around the boilers or somewhere, right? And as a result of this, what will happen? The water which is present in this coil, that becomes warm up. It gets heated up. Now this hot flux of water is directly released out into the water resource, and due to this thing the temperature of the water changes. As this normal temperature changes, it increases, it is going to disturb the aquatic life. So industries, they are leading to water pollution in two different ways. One is by the addition of these undesirable components, and second is by changing the temperature of the water bodies. The next source is the agriculture. Now these agricultural fields, for the crop production, for the protection of the crop, different pesticides and the pesticides are used. See, if the pest control is not done, definitely they can damage the crop fields. But the pesticides which are used in the agricultural fields, they are also having some harmful effects on the other organisms. These pesticides, they are present, they are used over there, and let us say during irrigation, these pesticides, they may get run off or run away from the fields, and they are added to the water resource. So ultimately the pesticide is coming in the water resource, which is actually biomagnified over there, because they may be persistent, they are not biodegradable, right? So ultimately they are having different hazardous effects. Similarly, the fertilizers. The fertilizers, they are used so as to add the nutrients in the fields, right, in the soil. Now these nutrients, they are required for the rapid growth or the proper growth of the plants. But of course, the fertilizers, the sources that are used, they may be harmful for the other organisms. And similarly, as it is shown, as I told for you, told for these pesticides, the same thing can happen with the fertilizers, right? Further, the next thing is the petroleum oil. It is the next source for the water pollution. Now, petroleum oil, of course, it is a sort of it's a fossil fuel, and it is affecting the nature in different ways. It is used in different for different purposes, and is causing the water pollution in different ways. Like it is used for transportation or for the shipping. So during such time, these fuels are used for such purpose and is releasing out some harmful components. Then is the spillage. Due to various reasons, the fuel can get spilled over the surface of the water, and that can affect the life of the organisms. Then the leaking, accidents. By any means, these oil particles, they can be added to the water resources, or the modified forms which are released out as a waste gas from these shipping processes or any such process, they are adding to the water pollution. Well, whatever is the cause or the source of this water pollution, two things are very clear. One is that these sources, they are adding the unwanted material to the water bodies, and besides that, they are changing the temperature. So now let's see what happens when such changes occur in the water. So now let's see the effects of the water pollution. So for this effect of the water pollution, I can say that the addition of these undesirable components, it even leads to the depletion of the desirable components. You know how? See, these components are added here, like heavy metals or the some various alkalis or the acids or some organic compounds, pesticides, and so on. Right? All these are the unwanted particles. Now, these organic compounds, they are serving as the source of nutrition for the microbial growth, or for the microbes, and this they grow over there, and as they are growing, they are using the dissolved oxygen which is present in the water. Now ultimately what will happen? The dissolved oxygen is now decreasing. Now as this dissolved oxygen is decreasing, what will happen further? It is going to disturb the aquatic life, right? And of course, besides this, there is the temperature change as we have discussed earlier. So altogether, if we just look at these points, we can just summarize the points that how this pollution is affecting the biotic and the abiotic components. Some of the points are given here, like disturbance in the aquatic life. It is serving as a source of pathogen. How is it serving as a source of pathogen? See, these compounds or these things are present over there, over which the microbial or growth is taking place. Now, these microbes, they may be pathogenic or they may not be pathogenic, right? So, if they are pathogens, they are going to cause a disease in different organisms. So here, this polluted water, it can serve as a means of spread of different diseases. Further, it leads to the ecological imbalance. Now, how it is causing this ecological imbalance? This is because it will lead to the disturbance in the biogeochemical cycles. The process by which the different components in our environment are maintained because of the interaction between the biotic and the abiotic components. So if this water pollution occurs, the microbial growth is going to change. Then the components, minerals which are present here in the water, they are going to change. And when such thing happens, then the cycling process will also be disturbed. And this will lead to the imbalancing of the ecological processes. Besides this, now it becomes unsafe for drinking, right? There is a shortage of the drinking water. The another cause is the eutrophication. What is this eutrophication? You have any idea? Let me explain. See, the eutrophication is actually a process by which water pollution, it changes the normal composition of the water. It makes the water sources overrich in the overrich in organic material and the minerals or the nutrients. Now, when these organic or the minerals are present in the water resource, then what will happen? The organisms like algae and cyanobacteria, they will grow rapidly over there. Now, as they grow rapidly, what will happen? They will lead to the depletion of the oxygen supply in the water resource. The similar thing we have studied earlier, but now exactly how it is functioning here in the process of eutrophication, see this in the diagram. See, the very first thing is what? The nutrient load up. Excess of nutrients or the fertilizers, they are flushed into the water sources, right? And over there, further what will happen? The plants will start flourishing over this. These pollutants, they causes the aquatic plants to grow over there. Now, as they grow here, algae blooms are produced. The algal growth will cover the surface of the water. Now, as this surface is covered, two things are going to happen. Initially, when these algal blooms are growing, the amount of oxygen is going to deplete it. Further, now when it is covered, this the exchange of this dissolved oxygen and the environmental oxygen, this exchange is going to be hindered, right? And of course, besides this, it will prevent the sunlight which can reach to the other plants. So because of this reason, what will happen? Two things are there. First thing is, the plants, they are going to die, right? The aquatic organisms, they are not getting the oxygen for their survival, and plants are not getting sunlight for their for the growth, right? So ultimately this oxygen is also depleted, and there is the effect, the plants and the aquatic organisms, they tends to die now, right? So further what will happen as this thing happens? Decomposition. More and more decomposition will occur, which will lead to the depletion of the oxygen. It means that the other microorganisms or the other organisms, they will start growing over this dead and decayed material, right? So these decomposers, as they are growing more and more over there in the plant body, they will start using the dissolved oxygen much more. So as this dissolved oxygen is used much more further, the availability of this dissolved oxygen is now depleted for the other aquatic organisms. The other normally the animals which are living in the water body, and this is going to lead to the disturbance in the ecology also, right? So such process in which these organic or the other nutrients are added up in the water, and they are depleting the this growth of aquatic organisms, is known as the eutrophication. So this is actually the effect of the water pollution. So this is how this addition and the depletion of various components are affecting the human life or other sources. Right. Now let us see how the temperature change is affecting the environment. See how this change occurs that I have discussed already. Now, aquatic organisms, not only aquatic, each living individual, they need a certain range of temperature for their growth, right? And for their survival. So same is true for these aquatic organisms. They need a certain range of temperature for their own survival, right? Now if there is a sudden marked change in this temperature due to discharge of hot water into them, then what will happen? It will affect the survival and the breeding of these living organisms. There are some organisms which in which the growth or breeding occurs at a particular temperature, right? So if this temperature change occurs, then what will happen? The eggs or the larvae of various animals, they are not able to grow in the water bodies. Why? Because they are susceptible to the temperature changes. They cannot tolerate the this temperature change. They need a particular temperature for their growth. Right. Similarly, there are organisms in which the breeding occurs at a particular temperature, and further, even the thing is that at the particular temperature only they are able to release the eggs also. Besides, the temperature to which the eggs are exposed, that decides the sex of a particular individual, in some species of course. So if this disturbance occurs, then there will be the disturbance in the sex ratio of these organisms. And ultimately you can imagine, if such type of changes occurs, what impact it is going to have over the environment. So this is how if this water pollution is having effect on the human health, as well as on the abiotic components, and of course the other living organisms. So students, now I would like to share one case study which is showing the direct effect of water pollution, and that is actually known as the Ganga Action Plan. Our India, or the government of India, has launched many programs so as to control the water pollution, and Ganga Action Plan is one such program which was launched by Sir Rajiv Gandhi in 1986. You know very well that the river Ganga, it flows down many cities and states, and is one of the chief source of water in our country. And constantly we are utilizing the water from it for different purposes, and it was never expressed, or it was never considered that when it is a continuous utilization became the exploitation of this river Ganga. We are using the water for drinking, for bathing, for throwing dead bodies, and so on. It is used for different number of ways, and now it is considered that its over exploitation has taken place, which has resulted in the pollution of this river in many different ways. It is not only our daily activities which is exploiting this river. Even the industrial waste, sewage waste, all these are continuously added into the river and is degrading the natural resource. So ultimately it was found that this water pollution should be controlled, and thus the action was actually taken by Sir Rajiv Gandhi. In this case, it was observed that the pH, that is the acidity of water, is changing a lot. Secondly, there is the microbial growth in this water. And considering this particular point, the quality of the water was getting deteriorated. And thus, after observing these facts, this particular plan was launched. The most important objective of this Ganga action plan is actually not a single one, but there are many, and different actions are taken so as to control this pollution. Let me tell you what these objectives are. First of all, it was related to the control of non-point pollution. You know what is non-point pollution? It is a pollution which is led not exactly at the place of action. I can say that at certain place the particular activity is going on, and these activities are leading to the pollution of these the natural resources which are located far away from this particular site of generation of pollutant. So Ganga actually is getting polluted because of this non-point pollution. And of course, the sources for this type of pollution is like agricultural runoff, human defecation, then cattle wallowing, throwing of unburnt or half-burnt bodies into the river, right? So all these are leading to the water pollution. And just to control this, the specific rule or the action was taken so as to control these non-point pollution sources. Further, research and development has been it was encouraged so as to conserve the biotic diversity of the river so as to augment its productivity. Besides that, the proper sewage treatment is actually maintained, right? New technologies were introduced for the sewage treatment, as well as afforestation was also developed so as to control the pollution, so that it is not leading to the non-point pollution in the water bodies. Besides that, turtles are considered as the natural purifier of the water. So the growth or the rehabilitation of these soft-shelled turtles was actually increased in the water resources. Further, resource recovery options like production of methane for energy generation, that is an alternative source, right? Then aquaculture for the revenue generation, of course. These type of resources or these type of recovery operations were demonstrated so as to control the water pollution and to increase the economic status also. And the most important objective was to act as a trendsetter for taking up similar action plans in other grossly polluted stretches in the other rivers. Not only in the rivers, but other different types of resources where the pollution is taking place. And thus this Ganga action plan, it was launched and served as a great help to control the Ganga water pollution. However, there is still a long way to go and to prevent the pollution of not only river Ganga but of other resources also. Now, this is all about the water pollution. Right. Now, I would like to discuss about the water quality which is safe for our consumption. Right? That is the potable water. Let's see what is meant by the potable water and how we can maintain the quality. So this potable water is defined as a safe and clean water which is suitable for drinking and cooking by the human beings. The specific properties of this potable water is that it should be transparent, it should be odorless, clean and colorless. All these qualities suggest that there are no impurities present in this particular water. Besides that, it should have the sufficient amount of dissolved oxygen and minerals so that it can support the survival of the living organisms by providing the essential minerals and the oxygen for them. Right? Besides this, the potable water is the one which is free of all unwanted particles like the germs, that is the living microorganisms, or the toxins or the other microbes as well, right? So that the quality is maintained. See, we are obtaining the water from the natural resource. right? And these natural resources are exposed to different types of agents and the things, isn't it? So quality is always at a stake. So definitely government has taken precautions, they have taken the steps for this purpose, and there is the municipal corporation, there are the different plants which initially purify this water and make it suitable for our consumption. So let us understand how this water purification is done. It can be done at a large scale, as well as it is also done at a personal level. In simple terms, water purification is the process of removing undesirable chemicals like salts, or the biological contaminants like microbes, or the suspended solids like sand, silt, clay, and of course the gases from the contaminated water. So if the contamination is there, all these undesirable things should be removed out of it. And the process for this which is performed is known as the water purification. Why it is done? It is done so as to produce the water which is fit for drinking and other human activities. Not only for drinking purpose, but of course for the medical reasons, pharmacological, chemical, and other industrial applications. Right. Now the point is how the water purification is done at a large scale. So generally it includes the following steps, that is collection of water from the main source, then the sedimentation, filtration, chlorination, and then the supply. I will show you the picture so as to explain these steps. See, first of all, I said the first step is the collection of water, right? So in this water treatment, the water from the natural resources is collected and stored in the particular tank. Then through the pipelines, it is transferred to the different tank where it is mixed with the different types of chemicals, right? Chemicals which can include like alum, lime, or chlorine. So these are going to react with the impurities which are present in the water and is going to eliminate it. It will precipitate this. Further, this treated water is transferred to the next unit where it is where the coagulation process is done. That means it is stirred over there so that the lighter particles are floating over the surface, and heavier particles, they are actually coagulated and they are flocculated, or they are settled down at the bottom. Now after stirring, if the heavier particles are there, then of course it should be allowed to sediment for the while. Right. So after this, the surface impurities are removed, or I can say the water is transferred or it is transported through the filtration unit. Through this filtration, there are the filters. Different types of filters are used for this purpose depending upon the size of the impurities. Right. So after filtration, the filtrate or the water is now disinfected and stored in the water tank. Right, and from this main storage tank, it is distributed through the tap or through the pipes to the particular household area or wherever it is required. Although the purification is done at this large scale, but it should also be performed again at home for the precautionary way, right? And this includes the processes like boiling. Boiling is one of the very easiest and the safest method for the water purification at home, right? For this purpose, water is boiled at about 100 degrees centigrade for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then it is cooled down to room temperature. Boiling is basically removing the germs or the microorganisms which are present in the water. You must have heard that when we go to doctor, sometimes they suggest to drink the boiled water, isn't it? Or they are giving the medicines which are to be dissolved in the boiled water. Why this boiled water is prescribed? It is because it is now free of the microorganisms. In the above treatment, you have seen that there is no such particular step is taken which can kill the microbe. Disinfectants are used, but of course for proper safety, these steps are to be taken. After that, it can also be purified by the addition of some chemical tablets. In market, specific chlorine tablets and potassium permanganate tablets are available, which are used to kill the harmful agents and the removal of the excess amount of salt from it. Besides this, normally cloth is used for the filtration, and of course now you have seen that now there is a trend which is using the RO system. So these use of filters, physical as well as electrical filters in the form of some machines or in different forms, is of course recommended so as to control the improve the water quality. Right? Nowadays, as I said, the electric filters or the RO system, water purifiers, they are commonly used. Right? And these are actually having the microporous filters. These microporous filters are able to remove the finest particles which are present in the water. Besides this, they are having the carbon and the source of UV radiation. So these this carbon, right, it actually absorbs the organic impurities, and the UV radiation kills the microbes. So now you can understand why this type of filtration is good enough to use at our household. So this is all about this chapter. Further, I will come back with some other chapter. Till then, thank you so much. Have a nice